now I've got another guest who's come on. I've got Chris Pajek from the RedMenTV Liverpool channel. How are you doing?
I'm all good, mate. How are you?
Yeah, not too bad. How's life in isolation been?
It's been rather difficult, to be honest with you, Robbie. My wife works for the NHS, doesn't she?
Yeah.
So she's at work and I'm looking after the two kids with a full-time job, and it has been an absolute nightmare so far. Like, I'm just can't wait.
I think she's having it a bit harder than you, though.
She's actually like finance for the NHS and stuff, so like what she does is important, obviously, because it's all important, but she's not like a frontline worker or anything like that. So and she's actually had COVID-19 as well, so she was out for like nearly 3 weeks and stuff, Robbie. So it's been it's been a tough few weeks, like, and obviously then you throw on top of all of the personal stuff the fact that Liverpool we're top of the league and everyone's bantering you all the time about it's going to get voided, and it's like it's not going to get voided.
I wasn't going to mention that.
Yes, you were. Everybody does. As if I'm coming over here and not expecting it, so I'm getting it in first before the comments start having a pop at me and start making me think it's going to happen. I was not going to mention it, but now that you brought it up, I will. Now, what's your position on it? Because let's say it was voided, but let's not say that. Let's not say that, Robbie. Please don't do that to me. But
there's been rumours that they could void it, but then still give Liverpool the title. Would you like it that way? Would you accept it?
I'd accept it, but I wouldn't like it. We've waited 30 years. I'll accept any Premier League trophy at this point, mate. But no, do you know what? The thing for me really is that the lads deserve to be Premier League winners this season. Take the fans out of it. Our players deserve to be the winners of this league. You know, whatever you think of Liverpool fans, it doesn't really matter. It's the team that have done it and the players that deserve it. And they deserve to be, I think, in a full stadium with the adulation of the fans. You know, having us celebrate with them and show them what they mean to us is what I'll miss out on more than anything. Because the likelihood is, look, it will get finished, but we're not going to be there to give them that adulation that they deserve, or to be there and celebrate with our mates after so long without a Premier League trophy and stuff. So, well, we've never had one, have we, Robbie? So that's the thing that will gall me more than anything, not being able to celebrate on the streets of Liverpool. I'll be here in my underwear probably just dancing around my house, but I want to be with 50,000 Liverpool fans having a beer and enjoying myself. But really, it is the players, isn't it? And they won't want to have won it like this if they do go on to win it. Like
they must be so gutted. I mean, like you said, and you as a Liverpool fan, you've done everything right this season. You've smashed every. I mean, all right, yeah, I was having a bit of banter against you guys when you got beaten by Watford because you couldn't do the Invincibles. But Liverpool have been brilliant this season, haven't they?
Yeah, they have. They're truly, like, they're a monstrous football side. They can win in so many different ways, and they steamroller teams, and they kind of, in a way, remind me of the early Mourinho sides, because there's physicality to them. I think the great Arsenal sides had a physicality to them as well as the flair players, but also the way in which they attack the league season. I think Sir Alex Ferguson used to win the league. You get really strong towards the end, and Mourinho used to go out and try and get it won before Christmas and everyone lose heart. And I think that's what Liverpool have done this season. They went out there and they just continued from the back end of last season, put the pressure on, and everybody else just fell from the wayside. And then I think they started looking over the shoulder, and they weren't able to then catch up because they were all looking at like Manchester United and Arsenal's and everything else, and Spurs and stuff. So, but it was a strange league season as well, really, wasn't it, Robbie? Or it is a strange league season. I shouldn't really talk about it like it has been over, because so many of the bigger teams were in transitional years. I mean, there's been a lot of talk where people have said, well, Liverpool have been great, but it's just because everybody's been so bad. I mean, I think that's taken a bit away from Liverpool, but there is a point to that, because Arsenal have been poor, Man United have been poor, Chelsea have been poor. A lot of the clubs that would normally be up there, even City really, have not been great, have they? They've lost a lot of games, So, whereas with you guys, you've just been consistently good. Yeah, I genuinely think it's a strange one because, you know, for the longest time, people have been saying to us, look, the league's not competitive. Actually, if you took Liverpool out of the league, it's probably one of the most competitive leagues we'll have seen. You know, everybody can beat everybody. Man United can beat Arsenal, Arsenal can beat Man United. Everyone around 2nd to 7th can all beat each other. It's just that none of them really were able to beat Liverpool. And it was that consistency in the fight against the top 6 sides that has stood Liverpool apart from everybody else. So I do think, you know, look, Arsenal aren't as good as they've been. Manchester United are nowhere near as good as they've been. But I think Man United are the same as they were the year before. I think Arsenal are similar to what they were the year before. Really, there's one team that's really had a drop off, and that's Manchester City. You know, Liverpool haven't dropped off from last season. So we were like, it wasn't a weak league last season when we were getting nearly 100 points. But this season, because of such a big gap and because of the way Manchester City have fallen off, it does look like the league's weaker. I'm not sure it is, but there's one standout team, and that sometimes happens.
This guy says Liverpool's social distancing from the league titles for 30 years, but
and then this season we've social distance from every other team below us, haven't we? 25 points. There you go. We've flipped that social distancing on its head there, mate.
Good comeback. We were discussing earlier player of the season, and apart from Kevin De Bruyne, everybody else it's all Liverpool players, right? Even though we spoke to Kevin Campbell, he said Mane. There's been a lot of shouts for Jordan Henderson. Kevin Campbell was saying, nah, it can't be Henderson. It's either Mane or Van Dijk for him, or maybe Salah, but it can't be Henderson. But Henderson, up until what's happened recently, he was the favourite to win it. Do you think he deserved to win Player of the Season?
Depends what you're looking for from a player of the season, doesn't it? I mean, Ryan Giggs won it in the back end of his career. Was it maybe his last full season, where they kind of gave it to him as a lifetime achievement award? I don't actually think he was the best player in the league that season. But like Jordan was one of our top players. You know, I think he's certainly, if he wasn't our best player this season, he was top 3. And it's funny actually, when the voting was done, he just got out injured and Liverpool was starting to stutter a bit. And then I think people started to realise just how good Jordan was. And he came back, you know, he comes back and he picks up from where he left off. He is unbelievable footballer, like so underrated.
That's right, because for a lot of fans who don't support Liverpool, they're always scratching their head and thinking, well, what's the big thing about Jordan Henderson? But you as a person, and it's always different when you watch a player week in, week out, tell us why he's so important to Liverpool.
Well, he sets the tempo. I mean, let me caveat it if you don't mind, Robbie. You know, anyone who goes to the footy will know this. There are some players that look good on the telly and others that don't. Jordan's one of those lads that doesn't look good on the television for some reason. He's not sticking assists in every week. He's not sticking it in the top bin every week. He does the simple things well. He'll keep your team moving. He'll win the ball back in dangerous areas off the opposition, or he'll outright stop an attack before it even gets started. And you know, as a football fan who goes to the game, you don't always have to watch the ball, and you can hear things as well. And Jordan's a player that you can hear all the time when you're close to the front. And he's a guy that leads, and he's a guy that talks to everybody else, and you know, really just motivates them and sets a tempo and sets a line, and will speak to people at set pieces and stuff like that. You're not always following what the cameraman wants when you're at the footy. Sometimes I'll just sit and watch how the back four are playing for 5 minutes. I won't look at the ball because I find it interesting. But Jordan's one of those players for me that shows up when you do that. And he knows exactly what the manager wants, and he makes sure that he's, you know, if someone's having a bad game, he'll go over to them, he'll G them up or whatever. He just does everything really, really well. And you know, when he wasn't playing, we saw more what we were missing when he wasn't playing, if you know what I mean. So he's just a brilliant footballer. He can ping the ball long, he can play the ball short, but he's just one of those lads who's never going to let you down either.
There was a guy who was just asking a question, and he was saying about Naby Keita. He's been one of the players that has been disappointed a bit, hasn't he?
I think so, yeah.
Do
you know, it's a funny thing. We waited so long to get him, didn't we? We signed him for like a year before we actually got him in there, because it was that crazy like £50 billion deal, and he stayed there for a season, wasn't it? And that what happened then was we Liverpool fans essentially watched him tear up the Bundesliga with RB Leipzig for an entire year. He comes to us, he starts the first game, I think 2 seasons ago, we win against West Ham 4-0, starts it really, really well. And then he gets injured and we change formation. He comes back in and it doesn't really suit him very much, gets up another injury. And it's kind of been like that with him. Whenever he's sort of starting to show what he's got, he picks up a little knock and it just sets him back another 6 to 8 weeks. And he has to almost start again. So I don't know whether he's injury prone. He might be. He's a talented player. Like he's enigmatic. You never really know what he's going to do. He's talented, but he hasn't had a run of games to prove it yet. And he's not done enough for me to show me that he's going to be a star in this league. He's got flashes of brilliance, but he needs consistency.
All right. Well, listen, just before we go here, because we're coming towards the end of the stream, but for you, play out the rest of the season. You think it will get done, it will get finished, and you will finally get that title after 30 years?
I think it's important that they do finish the season. I think, that obviously from a Liverpool fan's perspective, yes, I want them to finish the season. Yes, I want Liverpool to be crowned league champions. I actually think Liverpool's probably the easiest thing to sort out. It's the Champions League places, it's the relegation places, it's what happens to Leeds and West Brom and all that type of stuff. That's the messy stuff. I think if you asked anybody, look, the Liverpool deserve to be league winners, they all go, yeah. But you couldn't say that about, do they deserve to go down, or who deserves those Europa League spots and who deserves the Champions League spots. United will want the season finishing, because they think they can get into the Champions League. So there's loads of different things. I mean, look, I've waited 30 years. What's another few months for us to tie up a league title? But, I think it's important for everybody, their mental state as well, Robbie, that we get this done. Because if we're going to be in lockdown for 12 weeks, come the end of it, having footy behind closed doors could be a really nice thing for everybody to have again in their life. Well,
listen, Chris, thank you very much. Big up Paul for me as well. And to all you guys doing a great job there on RedMenTV. Thank you very much for showing support today. Thank you, mate.
Oh, mate, thank you. And thanks to everybody in the NHS and anyone who's working, all the key workers. Robbie, what you're doing here is amazing. Absolutely incredible, mate. I'm so proud of you. And I'm proud to be asked to be invited. Thank you.
Brilliant. Thanks. The coronavirus has not just affected the world of football, but has affected everybody. But you know what? We can defeat it. If you're displaying any of the symptoms, always make sure that you self-isolate. I know it's a terrible time, but we will defeat the coronavirus. We will be back.